and all around it, and also, of course, the tenement buildings that houses our community residents. Thank you.
Thanks for sharing. Jenny, hi.
Unmute.
Hi. Thank you, Jackie. Hi, I'm Jenny Lowe. I am a district leader in the Lower Manhattan area covering Chinatown. Been a district leader for 25 years, and I lived and I grew up in Chinatown and been doing a lot of volunteer work, including being the board chair of the Chinese American Planning Council after serving on the board for 30 years. What I would like to see is that obviously this is the beginning of a transparent process where community input is being taken, and I really hope that you, Judy, will take the input from this small group back into the rest of the group that is being other people who are also giving input, because any rebuilding of this building without community input would be deadly wrong. And what we need is to not only input from the community, but also the tenants who are currently there. We owe it to them to give them back the space. And should the structure be built taller, then we need to incorporate space for others like Shuling and I mean, I'm sure you know, other nonprofit organizations would like to have some space. This should be a hub for the Chinatown community, and it should be something that we can call, we can be proud of, servicing the community, residents, seniors, and others alike. So I implore you, Judy, and the team to get back, to make sure that the mayor hears this loud and clear, that anything that is done without community input, the whole process must be transparent to us every step of the way, because this is a community space, it's a public space, and we will not stand for anything that is short of any kind of transparency. So that said, I would like to you folks to continue to have this process for us to provide input. Many of us care a lot about the community, and this is a project that I think could be one of those that will help us recover from COVID. If you have ever walked through the community in Chinatown, you know we are in really bad shape. And many of us are worried, what will we do coming out of COVID and how do we recover? We don't want to recover back to the same old. We want to come out, recover, and become stronger. So if we could, this could be a project that you really demonstrate, not you personally, but you really demonstrate that this is a new day in our community where community input is sought after and taken into consideration. Now, we're not going to satisfy everybody, right? But that's okay. As long as our goal is to make this complex become a true hub for state-of-the-art, elevators and all of that for all of us. That is a symbol that for our community, and it has many significance. Not just having a site for us, but also it represents really, like, in our, I'm Chinese, many of us I think on this phone are Chinese, but out of the ashes the phoenix comes out, and I want this to be our phoenix. That's what I really want it to be. So please just implore the mayor that he cannot short circuit this whole project.
Okay, thanks for sharing. I'll make sure all of our comments, our perspectives will be recorded and then to be speak out to the city government, and we know like we are empowered to do that. Okay, so let's get it started. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So thanks everyone for joining this. I know like everyone is really concerned about this development, and we are trying to include every voice in this community outreach activities. So first of all, we would like to have a brief warm up of like where are we headed. There are some example. So take a minute to complete like 2 sentences briefly of what is your expectations. Like in 2030, 70 Mulberry Street is known for something something. And in 2030, Chinatown residents are proud of 70 Mulberry Street because of, yeah. So Teresa, you'd be comfortable to make it the first one?
I'm just going to take a stab at it. In 2030, 70 Mulberry is known for its renaissance. In 2030, Chinatown residents are proud of 70 Mulberry because it's renewed life.
Cool. How about Charlie?
I'm never good with this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So
Well, you're the founder
You're right.
of
well,
Mocha.
that's for Mocha, right? But
Come on, you must plan ahead as usual. That's what you
I
did
stopped
with
doing those.
the,
I stopped doing
basement
those things already.
workshop.
I'm ready for retirement. So,
Mm.
I think you to say that the 70 Mulberry would be known as the community cultural anchor, but also a place where we could serve the communities, the broad community, as I said earlier. That it's a place where perhaps there will be residential facilities or commercial spaces, also as a nonprofit home. So, and it is an asset for Chinatown.
Okay, cool.
I thought it was a one-word Mad Lib thing.
I told you I'm not very good at it. So.
So I'm sorry. So how about in 2030, Chinatown residents are proud of 70 Mulberry Street because of
one of those words that is earlier, I guess, as a a cultural and economic hub.
Just
how about who is interesting to share? Like just pop in whenever you think you are ready.
Well, okay, I could start with in 2030, 70 Mulberry Street is known for a cultural institution for social service changes, programs, and artistic skills. And then Charlie suggested tenants. So I think it should provide low income tenants or even below low income tenants so that immigrants can afford to pay rent not in a 400 square feet studio, but enough room to, raise a family maybe. But then I don't know about having a 20-story skyscraper to provide such services. I mean, there are quite a few empty lots surrounding, unless the Tombs is renovated into a housing income for housing or something like that. I mean, if the government sympathizes. But for 2030, that's like in another 10 years, and I don't think I could survive seeing that happen. Okay, quite old in my age. In 2030, Chinatown residents are proud of 70 Mulberry Street because, I don't know. Also, it'll document the struggles of our past to the struggle in the future, from the present to the future, that will be satisfied with the community. I mean, the community appearance like Soho's developed, maybe. But I mean, you know, it's too far-fetched to think about that because, you know, the city's really, the government now, it's like I'm in the Gowanus, and they're even predicting 2030 that there will be 30,000 new occupants in the neighborhood, even though the canal hasn't been cleaned up yet.
Thank you.
I mean, they want to make it look like 20-story buildings along a canal where a lot of shit from Park Slope and new occupants would fill up the canal again. Anyway, it's poor planning by the city,
Okay.
even though it's a federal program.
Thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
Is there anyone interested in answering this? I'm sorry. Okay. Okay, then we can step into others. So the second one, we would like to know where are the visions aligning to. So here's the spectrum of for preservation and for demolitions, which preserve the structurally safe parts of the building, including the shell of the building, or either fully demolish the building, including the facade, and rebuild. So there's some prompts like, what is this important to you? What do you see as the trace of to your suggested approach? And what would be an approach that satisfies both ends of the spectrum? So it would be nice if you tell me which kind of which place of the spectrum do you prefer and why, and your comment of it. So yeah, who would like to start?
I would be at the left spectrum, the number one.
Okay.
I think you know, it is a historical building. It's apparently it's not the only building of its type, but apparently it was one of the very early Snyder schools. And it certainly has historic significance for Chinatown. So I think we should try to keep as much of it as we can.
I agree with Jackie, but it is kind of a little bit of a moot question because so much of the building is already taken out already. So there has to be a true and Herculean effort to keep what is there now, which is basically 2 floors, the stone wall around it. And I think it needs to be preserved as much as possible.
Okay.
Well,
Who's is that? Was that?
Personally, I'm sure that the structure could be redesigned as the original structure was. That's one of the problems we have in the Gowanus, that the dismantling of the old bricks and then cleaning it and then rebuilding
Yeah.
using the old bricks for that's a possibility that is still under consideration, but the city is still humming and huffing about like how they want their design to be approved of. But yeah, so like Theater for the New City, this old structure is still there, but inland due to what do you call it? That there are tenement housings above it
Yeah.
that's not out of view from the sidewalk. I mean,
So what do you prefer? Like neutral or?
no, the full preservation, but to reconstruct
Okay.
the facade previously. Because what happened with junior high school 65 that I went to, you know, it's an old school, and it got rebuilt that looked like a prison more than a concrete prison, more than sunlight and new, you know, a modern schoolhouse. So it reminds me too much. I mean, this with just Pace University, Pace High School or elementary school or whatever it's called on Forsyth Street. It just looks like a concrete building, forbidden, you know, uninviting, as opposed to the new structure.
Thank you. So
I'm not saying like concrete prison now. I mean, you know, you're re-mouthing me. I mean,
sorry.
reconstruct the facade, unlike the concrete prison of junior high school 65 on Forsyth Street. Do you understand that?
Yeah.
I mean, have you ever seen that building? You haven't seen the old building before it was constructed. It needed.
Sorry for that.
Really?
I'll try to take those as much as possible, but I also
Like concrete prison 60, junior high school 65, which is now Pace High School, whatever it's called.
Okay, thank you. I'll try to take as much as possible, but I'm also recording this, so I will come back and revise again. I'm so sorry for that.
Well, I don't want to be misquoted as it is.
Yeah, of course. I will make sure not to.
I mean, this is how one takes notes in a meeting. I've taken notes in meeting and got pretty clear across my information from other people. I'm a typesetter, so you know, it takes a lot to take 80 words per minute.
Okay, thank you. Who else have comments?
I would pick between 2 or 3, somewhere between 2 and 3.
Okay.
Because given the structure of the building itself, I don't know how much can be salvaged in terms of a preservation, but we also have to look towards having the building adapt to future use, especially for health risk, or, you know, just keeping that in mind, and the people that are going to be served in the building. Like, if we can preserve, we can preserve. That's why I was like between 2 and 3.
Yeah.
But if you can't, we should put the priority of like serving the people and maintaining safety and health protocols kind of thing as the forefront.
Okay. Thank you.
So this is Jenny Lowe. So I am kind of with Teresa on this one. Given that whatever it is that they had to take down for whatever the reason is, right? I would say that if you're able to preserve what's already left and build something on top of that, I think it would be kind of cool, actually. It kind of falls into the idea of you, from the ashes, the phoenix comes up, right? So safety is most important, like Teresa said, because you can't have a structure that is not safe, right? That's just non-starter. So, but I think we should take advantage of modern day technology and building whatever, building technology, I call it. It's not technology, but modern day architecture and engineering and all of that puts into place, where we could have, like I say, you rebuild, but you rebuild it for the better. And a again, depending on what the zoning is for height and all of that, I agree with others who said, I think it was Susan who said, hey, if we can have housing in there, that would be really cool, affordable housing. My preference would be affordable housing for seniors, because we have a lot of elderlies in this neighborhood where they live in walk-ups.
Yeah.
Walk-ups. So and I don't even know if they still have bathtubs in the kitchen. I lived in one that had a bathtub in the kitchen before my family moved to Confucius Plaza. So, so I think we should take advantage of this unfortunate situation that we would like to make it better than before. That's so.
Okay. Thank you. So is there anyone interested in sharing, or we can go to the next?
You need to move that towards between 2 and 3, or closer to 3. You now have it off the sideline.
Because I was thinking more like the way the Brooklyn Museum, they redid their whole space, but they kept a wall in there. That's what I was thinking of. Because I went to high school by there, so that was pretty cool that they kept the outer facade inside the building.
Yeah, but it is an expansion of the front, which was a driveway anyway. So now it's sort of a fountain and a sitting area for the patrons. But like this 70 Mulberry is caved, very tight, unless, you could subsume through eminent domain the other area, small businesses around Chinatown.
But I think this is just a wish list of what we can and cannot do. And Su-Ling hasn't answered either. So, Su-Ling?
Yes, I'm here. Well, Teresa, I'm pretty much thumbs up with your suggestion. I mean, everything you quoted is basically what I'm thinking. What I'm also thinking is in Chinatown. I mean, I've been living in New York for this many years, but when come to Chinatown, maybe you can say the icon for Chinatown is the Confucius Plaza. That's known to the visitors and the Farborough community residents. So if we can make this the major icon once it's built, and of course I agree with between 2 and 3, safety is always come first, and I'm sure the builder would make the best recommendation for it. I do love to see the building preserve the structurally if it's safe, just like all the others suggested. But make that also an icon of the New York Chinatown, so that it's expand beyond New York. People would come, just like a visitor center. People, a place to visit, point of interest. People would come to for whatever reason they would come for the building, for the culture, for the performance, for the services, and if there's going to be affordable housing. So, I believe this would be very beneficial to people in and around Chinatown.
Thank you. So it's like the middle of 2 or 3, right? For your
Yeah, I would say, yeah.
Okay, thank you. So we can go into the next one. So for the usability, Do you prefer like the first one, the number one, adaptive use, reuse, preserve the structurally safe floor and reuse the space as it is for the tenants, or either on the other side, the new space planning fully restructure the interior spatial planning of the planning and the design per modern needs of the user. So who wants to be the first one?
Charlie, why don't you go first?
I go first.
Yeah.
Sure, why not? I think presently, well, actually, I shouldn't say, but in the past, as a old school building, classrooms, it was not very efficiently designed for the different nonprofits to use that space. So I think that the first order of business is to talk through with the not the 5 tenants that are there, that how they would like to organize their programming and the spaces, so that structurally could be designed for that. But that's, in my mind, only one part of the use that could be what I see for the community. I have articulated that um, I think there should be an element to incorporate commercial entities. In my mind, thinking that some of the retail spaces can actually be used as a revenue generating element that could support the building. Um, uh, so that's another aspect that I would like to see. And then the conversation about having low-income housing, because I actually am operating an 88 senior housing unit building. So, and our community, given these demographics, actually are seeing a significant need for low-income senior housing. So if that vision of that future could come to pass, it would be then by definition um, um, creating uh, a, creating a much larger building to incorporate the different needs. So there will be creative designing from the architects to preserve some element of the facade to give it, to continue to give our community the historical cultural linkage to PS23. At the same time, having we design more efficient use for the building that could serve not only as a visual icon, but also in reality an ability to serve the multiple needs for the community. I think.
So do you think it would be good on number 3 or close to number 2?
I think this is kind of a sliding scale in terms of what would work. It's a combination of all those things. So it is in fact new space planning, but at the same but it's incorporating and keeping the facade and meeting the need, right? Adaptive reuse for the 5 tenants that have been serving the community for over 50 years. So wherever you want to slide it, I don't really care.
Okay.
It's too arbitrary for me.
Okay. So who has comments on this?
How about Jenny? Jenny?
You're on mute.
You're on
I
mute.
know. Trouble with, I'm sorry. I think you know, Charlie has the right idea, and I really think that whenever possible, if you can allow the structure to generate some income, it's always a good idea. We again, you know, it all depends on how you're planning to redo it. Because the way it is today, there's a lot of, in my opinion, I hope I don't offend anybody, but there's a lot of wasted space, right? So like the stairway going up, and like I think this is an opportunity to improve the use of what the footprint that we have for this building. So I agree. I think we have to really reimagine the space as something that is better than before, obviously, and like basically start with a blank slate in many ways, and 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 find the best use out of it, and use as much space, squeeze as much use in it as possible.
Thank you. So,
Susan?
Me? Oh, yeah. Sure. What's left of it now? The tower and the 2 stories should be still maintained. But of course, the inners would have to be gutted out because of what Victor said about its, but then that would provide, I guess it used to be a cafeteria for the senior citizens, but I guess it'll provide more of a theater space for operas, performances, and so on for the community. I mean, the 2 floors are in a gallery space if necessary in the hallway. But I mean, it's, I guess to build upward is the only answer for all the things that we want to see improved in the community. So, you know, for housing, I guess the storefronts around the area can provide the economy of souvenirs and other stuff that Chinatown's been, you know, marketing. So, I mean, you know, the commercial side, you know, I think in terms of payback would be the theaters and the participation, promoting art or Chinatown art, if you want to call it that. And also there should be maybe a corner to display the history of the school, you know, just so that there's a memory for those who attended the school in their early years. I mean, you know, there are teachers. I mean, what kind of teachers did I have? I mean, you gotta give teachers credit for a lot of things. I mean, you know, and yeah, even having music class, having music programs set up, sound studio. There are many, I guess, ideas to contemplate for before it gets constructed.
thank you. So,
I try to make it more inclusive of, you know, expressing the community's needs.
so do you prefer also like others outside of the spectrum, or do you prefer any degree in the spectrum?
What do you mean? What?
Like what number do you prefer in the spectrum, or do you prefer like not considering this like the degree?
Well, what's left now, I mean, you know, but, and also if possible to rebuild the original structure. And if not, I mean, of course, then it would, logically, it would follow that it, all right, let's put it in number 3. That would be middle. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And Sulang? Sulang?
Yeah, yes. For me, I would go for number 4, scale 4, because yes, preserving the structure, yes, very important. But I do believe that because of this building is for this many years with almost, I assume almost the same tenant in this building. Now the usage years ago may have different meanings today. It may or may not serve the same purpose from the time the existing tenants move in years ago. So I do think that for the interior, we definitely need to reconstruct based on what is needed today, what is the existing tenant needed today, and then for the future tenant. For example, I do believe that one of the tenant is 美東體育會. So years ago, I visited that facility before, but I'm not sure, like after this many years, are they still actively using the space, or is it, to them, do they need more space or less space? And is it, could be better used for a different purposes? It so happened that, they occupied this facility for this many years. Once you're there, you kind of like, I'm so comfortable, I'm not going to do anything. It is continued for this many years. So I do feel that it's time to make some changes tailored to what each old and new tenant need, and surrounding that those features, and construct based on those, make that more meaningful for this building to stood up there at 70 Mulberry. So make that a very well-known iconic building. That's what I think is, would be, for me, it would be very meaningful.
Thank you.
I'm sorry to interject. I would advise us not to evaluate the quote.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
The worthiness of organizations, and I think that I think the essence what you're trying to get at is that each one of these organizations has to think through what their program plans will be for that new space, and the architects, designers will design a space that will meet their needs. Now, of course, in the grander scheme, to then look at what other possible spaces that can be developed for other nonprofits, art and culture, or social services. That all depends on what the community decides as an addition. So I think the underscore that in addition to the existing 5 that are there, simply because by definition, there is a huge amount of sweat equity that this organization had put into that space for the last 50 years, and how they kept the building from deteriorating. That's worth something. If those organizations, for whatever internal operations, that they may not be able to succeed, it is their issue, rather than a community saying, well, I think that something else could be better. So I just want to say that, again, it's not in defense of the 5, but we will be potentially venturing into, well, why that and why not this one? Why not bring somebody else in? And that would be a very dangerous slippery slope.
May I say something?
Yeah.
No, I don't think that's what I meant, Victor. What I'm saying is, um, after this many years, just like living in a house, in 50 years ago, this is what I need. 50 years later, this is what I need. I do understand that they will evaluate with each of the tenants um, and then construct based upon it. But I'm just giving an example. Like years ago, the need is this. Years later, the need will be this. I'm sorry to name specific one because I know them, because I know this organization, and when I was young, you know, I joined this organization. It's just that I just want to use it as an example. Like years ago, this is what I see. Years later, this is what I see. I don't mean to target, you know, any organization saying that they don't need this space, or they need. What I'm saying is they might need a better facility, or they might not need it, but no one ever evaluate this. So I just say that I just thought that this is a time, you know, to rethink, not just specifically this organization, but everything, everything else. Just like when you live in a house, you consider what should I do today versus what I've been very comfortable with for the last 50 years. Thank you.
Thank you. So, everyone
And
become oh, yeah, Teresa.
And there's, I would be a solid 5.
Okay.
The only reason why is that I hope that in planning the space, it is inclusionary, diverse, it goes green, it offers a respite for any organization and becomes a hub, maximizing footprint space.
Thanks for sharing. Will everyone be comfortable if we go on to the next step, or you have other? Okay. So the third one would be, do you prefer we stay at current building heights and floor area?
Let's do Suling first.
Okay.
Who?
Suling?
Did you say me? But I don't see me in the picture.
You don't see you because you're probably scrolled down or something. I tend to take over the participants if we're whole hawk hey kind of don't want to say anything. So Suling, you go first.
I've been talking, so yeah. Why don't you go, Teresa?
For me, I would love to be able to see if we can go. Okay, let me give you a number to Judy.
Thanks.
Judy, can you move over because I can't read the extend building? Go right. Yeah. Hold on. Let me move my screen. Hold on. Extend building height up to. I would be a solid 4, extending building height and floor area, because you would be able to try to maximize the building footprint itself. I know it may be a little high, but go as high as we can to be able to incorporate all the things that we want to do. If you're limited to the 6 floors, I think it might be a very, very tight constraint for us. For us as a community, not us as me kind of thing. And I don't think the footprint itself is that big because it's only that corner spot. So going up would be the best thing.
Okay.
Jenny.
Thank you.
So I would say I agree with, I love following you, Teresa, because I agree with you. Because if I would like us to go up to whatever the zoning allows. I mean, you don't want it to be a sore thumb sticking out, right? So I agree, because you have a chance. Now you have a chance to make it better for everybody. And it means that if, let's say, the 6-story right now, and they can build up 2 more stories or 3 more, whatever the number is. I think we should go as much as it can based on the current zoning for that area.
How about Susan?
Oh, yeah, well, to retain the, well, I guess 6 floors. But there are buildings or tenement buildings, even on Bayard Street or next block down, where there are structures behind the front buildings. So something like that could be built for 20-story to accommodate the necessary need.
You mean a recess behind the 6 floors?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
a recess building?
yeah,
Okay.
recess building. I mean, that's how you make a landmark, the front at the landmark building, and then recess to the towers. But the major,
I have a dumb question. Is the building landmarked?
I think they're preserving, the preservation's trying to.
It is not landmarked.
It's not
Jenny's shaking her head.
landmark. It's not landmark.
Well,
Was anybody, are we applying for landmark?
that's why the preservation participating in these workshops and trying
Okay.
to, you know, politically you have to get all this approved anyway. So, I mean, whatever suggestions we make, I mean, the governments have total control over us. Excuse me. But like, I mean, you know, nobody's even, you understand that the tombs is going to be destroyed, even though it's been there for how long in our lives. But it's
So Susan, you're like between a 3 and a 4, right? Like kind of keep the 6 and go up behind. So
Yeah.
you're between a 3 and a 4.
Yeah.
Okay.
that would be
Right.
good.
That would be good too.
That's a best building.
Charlie.
I would actually go to the maximum allowable, even up to 20 stories. There are some setback designs so that it is not too offensive. But if we, again, in my mind, if we could accommodate, you know, multiple needs, particularly in terms of housing, how many units would you build, and how do you get there? So there are, of course, you know, again, I would actually like to see the designers to build a model so that we could actually see what it looks like. A 10-story, you know, full block to offsets, you know, that could be 15 or 12 or 20, so that we could see the scale, what it looks like, rather than an imagined view. Anyway, that's how I would like to explore that rather than giving a set number like that.
Judy, you might want to put in there proposed renderings at 10 stories, 20 stories, you know, to visualize, put renderings in.
Okay.
And let's see, Su Ling.
Yeah, I would go between 4 and 5. I do love to see, like Charlie said, to maximize the usage of it. Chinatown is such a small community that it's always problem. You would never get enough land for everyone that need it. So now that we have the opportunity to rebuild the building, we should maximize the usage to its when it's safe, when it's doable to do that. You don't get this much opportunity. At least I haven't seen this type of opportunity in Chinatown for this many years. It would definitely give a new life to the community overall, and not just talk about, you know, an icon for Chinatown. They built the modern building, and then meanwhile preserving the building itself. So I would definitely wanted to see everyone would be happy with the final construction, the final outcome of the building.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing. So for the fourth activities to either you prefer to keep the current programming that plan the space for original tenants, or the other side extend the current programming and plan for the original tenants and introduce other new service and programming. What do you prefer?
I think this one's pretty simple if we just show, like, you know, because based on what we've been talking about, I think if you keep the current programming with the original tenants, it's just going back to like the same 6 floors. But if you expand it between, like, I'm going to tell you my number so you have a number, between 4 and 5, because it opens up a possibility for other organizations, nonprofits, artists, cultural people, businesses. It benefits, as long as it benefits the community, that's what we should do. Whether it be economic, health, education, cultural, it should be something that expands what was currently in there. Bring a renaissance to Chinatown, let the phoenix rise, kind of thing. Charlie, you want to follow me?
I think that's great. And I actually think it should be a 5. And just to be somewhat clear, that the 5 organizations themselves are looking to expand their services and programming. But their present circumstance before the fire did not allow them to do more things. So, and that in the art and cultural community, they want a whole lot more public programming, presentation space that could be incorporated. It could be in the basement, and that the other organizations for social services, for which at this point it's not really there. So I think that this process of thinking through what is, in addition to the 5, what is needed in the community, and whether this new facility could allow that, and it could be designed for that. So absolutely expand the programming, incorporating additional needs from an assessment from the community.
Judy, I just want to add for mine, it's more of a collaborative community center, not just, you know, where it's just, everybody, obviously, we want all the arts groups or whatever groups that are in there to be collaborative, to be cohesive, to promote the community itself. So it's more of a collaborative community effort.
Okay.
Okay, now Charlie, Jenny.
I don't know what else I can add to be. Oh, yeah, I don't know what else I can add, because it really is, when you have a set of organizational people in the building, you really want them to make great use of each other's skills and talents, right? And the same for organizations, that each of them have their own strength, and you want to take advantage of their strength and have them collaborate, and that is why people coexist. That's why people share space, but not just about money. It's also about sharing their ideas and their talent. So I don't know if I have any more to add about, you know, having giving as much space as possible and have as many tenants that make sense to be in there to be part of this hub that we are hoping to rebuild.
Su-Ling?
I would say a 5, just like Charlie said. I mean, actually, he covered everything that I wanted to say. Definitely plan for the original tenants and introduce others, newcomers, and servicing the community, extend all the programming is so important. So I definitely say a 5 would be my pick.
And Susan.
Oh, well, I really don't want, I don't know, a theater in the basement. That I was just thinking maybe more, the structure should have enough light, natural lighting effects, so it looks more healthy.
More like a gallery or an open green space?
Yeah, an open green space, terraces maybe. I mean, some like Lincoln Center's design. But
I like the green space at Chong Park up on the roof. That's a nice green space.
I don't know where that
Thank
is.
you.
But yeah, or some, you know, the Ford building has an interior planetarium look or something like that. But also, I was thinking of, oh, I don't know, what was I thinking? Oh, maybe have a movie house there, because there aren't any. You know, that kind of, but then that's not possible if it's, I mean, I guess
You never know what's possible right now. It's all up in the air.
all right, movie house.
Because we're not going to the Alamo anytime soon.
So do you prefer any number, or
What?
do you prefer like any level of it?
Oh, yeah, I guess it'll be on, you know, to extend.
Like number 5?
Yeah, you need to have, instead of limiting the space, you know, for the, I mean, yeah, that's an expansion of program, expanding the programs and the needs of Chinatown, you know, social services and so on. Never needs. Entertainment, you know. I'm burning out.
So the next one, I think all of you have leave some comments on this already, but I will still like to maybe include more voice on this. So like what do we need in this space? We might have some service already. Like to the image, like we have some seniors program and like the adults and the children's program and educational things already in the Chinatown area. So yeah, so what do you think it is still available, and then what's your expectation of the programming and service that offering at 17 Mulberry Street?
Can I take a stab at it first? So what I want to see more is 5 pillars that are addressed is more social services, more education, more cultural. I'll let you catch up. Social services, education, cultural.
Western or Eastern?
Eastern. Cultural, senior, working more with seniors, and more adaptive learning, meaning not adaptive learning, more like if you're new or if you need more help with something, anything like kind of like, you know, if my kid's taking the Stuyvesant test, what do I do kind of thing, you know, it's like make it a hub for information kind of thing. Granted, every kid wants to go to Stuyvesant, okay.
No.
No.
I would take offense to that.
I didn't
went
get
to
in.
check.
I know. I got in. I got in and I didn't even go. Okay. My mom was so pedo at me. I didn't even go.
No, I think Brooklyn Tech is far better. I'm just kidding.
No, Bronx, the Bronx, the Bronx.
But you know what I'm
see
saying?
where you
Like
started.
yeah, but becoming some kind of like hub for like parents that need information, like any type of information, or like if you're looking for employment, who you should go to. If you're looking for senior help, who you should go for. Like these are all great and you can find them online, but to become like an information place for
Social
all of these things. Social service, it's kind of maxed out kind of thing.
A one-stop place. You go there,
Bingo.
you get everything served. Right?
Bingo.
Yeah.
Yep. Sue Ling, what do you think?
I pass on this one.
Everybody's getting burned out. Susan, how about you?
Well, I mean, access. Well, for me, it would be access to how to market my art. One-stop place. But I mean, there's always a hierarchy in all this situation. Well, I mean, even to provide English classes. No,
They have it.
that would be
Part of the CMP has it.
yeah, but the priority.
That's one of the tenants in there.
The priority, I believe, for new immigrants. I mean, you know, so.
Did you also mention artist market or?
Yeah, okay, artist market.
Charlie, what about you?
Art education programs. How about that? That's the best priority. Because that's what's lacking in the whole city. It's, you know, art teachers unemployed and art materials. I mean, now during the COVID, there's most of the arts, I guess the art stores are thriving, but there's not enough material, you know. Anyway, never mind. But there are needs for art skills. I mean, there are needs for developing an art skill. You know, you don't want a sloppy paint job. Sorry, we all want.
Charlie.
So, I mean, just to take a quick rundown of the 5, I mean, they actually do provide a significant amount of services and programming. Some of them in their own review of possibilities in the new space, they will be able to do more. There are, you know, Teresa, you talked about the, you know, the wide-ranging categories that some of these, the 5 organizations may not be able to do. So therefore, it would by definition bring in new organizations or coalitions that could be part of a new grouping of people that can be accommodated or programming. I would also incorporate in a sense what Jenny talked about, a one-stop multi-social services programming, and that the mental health is something that is not, it's rather rare in terms of organizations that are providing mental health services. We have some health, medical health programming, so that might not be necessary in this building, but the wide-ranging art education would be needed. So it just really just getting into further detail as to the possibility of space, so that the programming can in fact be housed in this particular location.
Well, I mean, there are different dance groups. It's not just HT Chin. I mean, you know, so like, I mean, to share one space should be provided also.
No, I agree. I think that many years ago, the concept of the Create project to have an arts consortium of sorts, but it's targeted and connected to studio spaces for individual artists and groups, to a larger performing space, presentation space, so that groups like the Four Cs can perform there rather than at Henry Street, or at CCBA. Instead of going down to the basement auditorium, there would be a larger space that can house it, that is accessible, right? So it's governing, right? At the end, I would hesitate to talk about how one would administer or govern these more joint spaces, but that's another hurdle at some other point to overcome. But in the designing of space to make some of these larger needs to be made available. It's not necessarily in jest that I talked about the basement, but we could have it on the 20th floor. I don't care, but it's having to think through the needs and having the creative designers and architects to make it right, to be that icon for us. So I don't want to prescribe too many things, but these are the broad needs that we could maybe demand for that space.
I may be a little selfish because I work in publishing and we can never promote any Chinese American authors in a space that's befitting of an author speak. So like that's the one thing that, or a speaker in general for like mental health or, stuff like that, like generational learning kind of thing. Like we don't have one space where we can come together as a collective, most importantly.
So it's still more an educational center to promote, to promote what the school you originally was.
Kind of.
The presentation space, right? I mean, if you have a large auditorium for performances, speakers, seminars, right? Workshops, etc. Right? So these kind of the different programmatic desires to be incorporated into the design. And is it, and I'm not throwing it out from the past, is it 1,000-seat auditorium or is it 500? That will be possible. And then, rehearsal spaces, or workshop spaces that can be used as, smaller art studios, right? I mean, those are the things that is within the realm of possibilities, but at the same time, constrained by the physicalities of the square footage and the height. So those are the combinations that has to be identified, so that there will be significant give and take to have the best mix possible.
Yeah, but this is just sort of a seed programs that will be expanded in for the future young kids that are growing up in the neighborhood. I mean, once one sees the possibility of writers, opening up their expressions, this is just the beginning.
Understood.
I mean,
understood. At the end of the day, there has to be. At the end of the day, it has to be, some kind of a institutional framework to accommodate those activities. Wishing for various types of programming to exist requires either an organization or a collaborative, or coalition to run those programs. So
But there
I
are
just want,
people,
well,
there
yeah,
are people who are in those professions who would like to have a roof over their head to continue in the arts.
so that is the essential create project idea. At the same time, it is still
Yeah, but we
having
need,
a governing structure to make it possible for individuals and smaller groups to be part of that because they don't have the necessary administrative powers to keep it operational for the long haul.
we're
So
talking
that's the
about
point.
politicians who give us promises and after 20, 30 years.
Well, this is the process right now, to try to get
Yeah, I know.
something on paper.
20 years for like what the basement workshop had involved. And
Well, we don't
a
need
lot
to
of
go to the
that,
history of basement now.
oh, right, because of the self-determination of individuals. I mean, so the oversight now it's starting at step one again, because when the organization that was grassroots, and this is like grassroots organizing, but institutions of Chinatown after 20 years who have more needs to continue with the arts and the social service issues. If you understand that factor, where would the jobs be for professionals if they're not working for corporations? I mean, why do workers, cultural
I,
workers have to
I'm sorry,
get
Susan, I
up
think that
off
we could move on to, to deal with the larger social
and
political issues right now.
well,
Thank
And
you.
I think also for one more thing that I want to add is that if this building actually comes to fruition, we also should make it as a hub for like flu shots or they have to be able to pivot with health concerns of any generation at this point as well, because the Chinatown community was one of the first communities to realize that COVID had hit, and we can't be inclusive to the point where we're not talking to other organizations. We also have to let other organizations work with us as well to disseminate information like flu shots here, not just go to CVS kind of thing, or if you don't have to like overburden all the doctors kind of thing, or like sign up for free food kind of thing, or voting or whatever, so it's consistent.
Well, Teresa, if the space is built in a way that has what people call the multiple use space, then yes, you could, the people who can give flu shot will come into a space like, and they'll say, let's say it's I'm going to make up, like, let's say it's an auditorium space or just a dance studio. That's not, I shouldn't use dance studio. Let's say it's a basketball court. I'm just making that up. So you can use the basketball court, for certain big gathering like distribution of food, seniors getting flu shots. So I think if they could think of these in advance, right?
Yeah,
Having certain space that can be converted into different uses, and that would be great. Like, you
basically
don't have to have a clinic there. They can
like have a
right?
lot of multi-purpose rooms built in, like a lot of them kind of thing, where we can pivot and answer the needs of the community at a drop of a hat kind of thing.
Got it. Yep, exactly what you said.
So at this point, you are talking about um, um, a governing body that could pivot easily.
Yeah.
So and this is something that is going to be a real test moving forward on a governing organizational basis, because as we all know, organizations have their primary responsibility, which is what they need to do to survive and to do their own programming. Thinking outside of the box and working with coalitions, it's another level. So And if this facility has more common, I put that in quotes, common community spaces, right? Put those in quotes, then managing it would have to be then
The governing body.
exactly right. Then um, it takes into consideration of the 5 existing tenants and potential future tenants in that building, but at the same time managing the quote, right, the common community spaces. So it's a scheduling issue, but it's
Yep.
also a political issue, and that's a governing issue. So I hear you, and I think that is uh, a different struggle. Um, not here, not for this for now, but
Mhm.
certainly it must be thought about. Um, Absolutely, I agree with you.
Judy, back to you.
Thank you for sharing. I'll make sure to record like to take all the notes and your voice and in the sharing later. So yeah, thanks for today. Thanks for joining tonight. I know it's such an exhausted meeting, and I really appreciate all of your voice. And so what's for next step? We actually have 2. The first one is you can join the next round of community meeting, which is round 2 and town hall meeting and workshop meetings in earlier November. And it will invite again and share with the committee. And the second one, if you can complete the survey and it will be disseminated via the committee. And I know all of you have more voices and more comments, and if there is anything like record you and then come on your mic later, you can fill it out on the survey or either an email to the 3x3 designs group. Yeah. Thank you so much for joining today. I really appreciate hearing all of your voice. And I will try
Thank
to
you all.
conclude
Thank you.
everything.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judy, and thank you,
Bye.
everyone.
Thank you.
Bye,
Thank
y'all.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
Really
Bye,
nice.
Bye.
everyone. Nice to meet you guys on
Nice to see
Zoom.
you guys. All right, bye.
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 What's the leave button? Doesn't give you the leave button. Leave room? Oh, I think that's what it is. Leave.